I swear to defend the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. And I'm telling you, there are U.S. military veterans that have upheld that even to today, as it looks like we have officially known that there have been boots on the ground from former U.S. military. Military Times writes, foreign fighters now on battlefield helping battle in Russia and Ukraine. And if you look at this photo, it looks like these guys are from all over the world. Like, they don't look all the same color. It looks like a mixed bag of people. This guy's happy with his beard out here. I would say, if anything, they should all have beards. Make notes of this, U.S. military, promise you. Says the first foreign fighters have arrived in Ukraine amid heavy Russian bombardment and are on the battlefield. Ukraine military officials tell Military Times. This marks the first time the unit has been used. Ukraine Brigadier General Kyryla, however you say this, the head of the nation's defense intelligence agency, told Military Times Monday afternoon. It says last month, Ukraine's President Zelensky created the quotations, International Legion of Territorial Defense of Ukraine as a global appeal for foreigners to come to the aid of his country. Now, this is not the first Legion that you've probably heard of. The most notable that I would say is out there is the French Foreign Legion, which has people, even in non-war times, doing stuff like this, coming together for one common good, and they've come from various military backgrounds. Yes, they have a lot of people that do want to come into their country to help fight, but the issue has been, how do they vet and process these people and make sure they're not just some Johnny that wanted to be on his couch and get in some action and start pulling some triggers. Says the first groups are already in the battlefield, said another Ukraine official, speaking on the condition of anonymity to explain the situation. A new group goes to the combat area every day. They have arrived from the US, UK, Sweden, Lithuania, Mexico, India, and other countries, said the official. Like I've said in previous videos, I don't think I've ever seen a level of unity to what we've seen across the board. And if you've ever looked at history and you're looking at countries like Sweden, where people are voluntarily going in to use their forces or their services or their access, it's kind of shocking. The official did not know all the tasks they're performing, but said some are defending Kiev. And he says, in quotations, it is difficult to speak with them as they are in the combat area. The official said, estimating that worldwide about 20,000 people have expressed interest in volunteering. Last week, a Ukrainian defense official in Washington, D.C. said about 3,000 Americans expressed interest, including many veterans. Honestly, I want to let you guys know this just from the retro perspective of any massive event or situation like this where there are communication lines and things like that, where we're talking about mass numbers. The numbers of how many people have inquired, how many people actually go, how many people are hurt in combat, killed in combat, all of these are just kind of rough estimates. And even years down the line, you probably still will not know the entirety of who is impacted by exactly what. But just keep these as a grain of salt as of right now. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby urged Americans to stay home. I don't have an estimate of Americans who might want to be volunteering to go there, he said. I would say what I have said last week. If you're an American and you want to do right by Ukraine, the best thing you can do is find a way to donate to so many agencies that are trying to deal with this and what is clearly now a humanitarian crisis in the region, and certainly there in Ukraine. We still do not believe that Ukraine is a safe place for Americans to go. We urge them to not go. If any are there still there, we urge them to leave. All right, let me explain some basic fundamentals of every single battle or encounter that you're going to ever be in. The best way to win is superior firepower. If you don't have that and you just have food and rations going to some people that are injured, you're not really counteracting what is happening there. Now, granted, I will say that this is someone from the government side of the U.S. that is saying we don't want to have to send people in to save people. We don't want to create State Department issues. We don't want to have to send in military and get any more involvement than we have to, which I agree with. But I'm also going to say I think there's a lot of people that are feeling the draw or the pull that they should do something because they believe in human rights and being able to have democracy and things like that. And the U.S. State Department also recommends citizens not travel to Ukraine, like I just said. Russia's war on Ukraine now is in its 12th day, has been seen the invading forces lowered or slowed, but Ukraine cities are experiencing a devastating barrage of aircraft and missile strikes. This is an effort to help shore up Ukrainian forces. It says no volunteers will be allowed to bring their own weapons. A Ukrainian official told Military Times last week those who fight will be issued at least rifles. He added he would not recommend on whether they will be issued other types of weapons. I don't think they would ever describe what else they're going to have because we're seeing an unconventional warfare here. We're talking about people that are, throwing Molotov cocktails at tanks. We're talking about information warfare. We're talking about things that aren't even related to even just holding a rifle. And I don't know the official rifle they're actually using, but I'm pretty surprised that they wouldn't allow any weaponry other than for the purpose of customs. But that is a whole other debacle here. Ukraine officials stressed to Military Times that they are looking for foreign volunteers with combat experience who require little training before being armed and sent to the front line. And it says the instructions for joining the Legion require quotations, documents confirming military service or work with law enforcement agencies and participation in combat. And it says we are asking for trained people to come, said the official in Ukraine. We don't have time for training. Now, looking at this, analyzing who they're wanting, the U.S. military, for the most part, has not had a lot of combat veterans that have had this urban warfare, I would say, probably that are not in their 30s, 40s, if not 50s at this point, to say that they would have help for this. Now, the important part is the intelligence and understanding how conventional forces like the U.S., their flaws going against urban warfare combatives that are in that region and understanding what they're up against and using some of those tactics that were effective against them, I think is going to be important. Where this really changes is the firepower that is coming from the sky and the bombardment that's coming across that is different than what the U.S. military has had to deal with. And that is where this really changes the game, because we don't have a fight in this with any military aircraft, right? We had air superiority at all times. We all knew that in Iraq, in Afghanistan, we could sit here and just bombard if we needed to, but we obviously tried to win hearts and minds as that was important because we wanted to rebuild everything. I don't know if we rebuilt anything because we see who's in power right now, but I want to bring up to you guys, is this something that you would be willing to go and fight for if you are a veteran? Are you empowered by this and seeing what these people are going through and these travesties? Does it make you want to actually take part in this other than just donating some feel-good money into something that, obviously we've talked about other movements that have had questionable means of using that money? And does that make you wary of using services like that? Let me know down in the comments below.